Welcome back to another episode of Simply Robotics, the podcast, a podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique, and you can find me on all social media platforms at Simply Robotics, SIMPLYROBOTIX. And remember, when listening, use the hashtag Simply Robotics Pod to join in the conversation. This also makes it easier for me to find any, comments or anything like that post about the show, and then I can reshare it. Now, as you see, the show is titled Wolfwalkers, and I am going to be slightly reviewing and talking about this film that came out last year, as well as getting into some animation news, which I haven't done in forever. So, to get started, I would like to remind you all that I have links to the trailer and a couple things that I will be talking about today in the description. So, don't worry, as always, I got you. Wikipedia says that Wolfwalkers is a 2020 animated fantasy adventure film directed by Tom Moore and Ross Stewart. The film is the third in the Irish folklore trilogy that Tom Moore had been creating. It follows his previous films, The Secret of Kells, which came out in 2009, and Song of the Sea, which came out in 2014. It's an international production, which was mainly made by Cartoon Saloon along with this French studio that I cannot pronounce their name. So the film premiered in 2020 at Toronto's International Film Festival. This is one of the film festivals that I really, really, really want to go to. And with all the virtual event hip hopping and stuff that I was doing last year, I somehow completely dropped the ball and missed this one. So, yeah, it was in that festival in September. Then it was released theatrically in the UK in October, and then theatrically in the United States and Canada in November, in Ireland in, December. And then mid December, it came on to Apple TV Plus, I think. Do you say the plus? Do you not say the plus? And since then, it has received a lot of universal acclaims from critics who have praised the animation, the emotional depth, and performance of the characters. So, the plot, according to IMDB, says a young apprentice hunter and her father journey to Ireland to help wipe out the last wolf pack. But everything changes when she befriends a free spirited girl from a mysterious tribe rumored to transform into wolves by night. So, just getting into some of the characters, this is from wolfwalkers.fandom.com. There's Robin Goodfellow. She's the girl that doesn't really want to abide by societal norms. She wants to be a hunter like her dad. They say that she's a bright, adventurous young girl, and, she wants to be like her dad and hunt all these types of creatures, such as dragons and selkies. And selkies, you'll find out what they are if you watch um, Song of the Sea. I really, really love that movie. So I don't know. It says in true, Robin thought this is what she wanted, which was be a hunter when she really desired freedom of living, and she wanted to be true to herself, which she could not do inside the city of Kilkenny and under Lord Protector's rigid and stifling rules and laws. So Bill Goodfellow is her dad. He's a hunter. He moved them from England to Kilkenny, Ireland after the passing of their mother, which it's not really a spoiler because we don't even see the mom. It gets told, so it's not, I don't think it's that big of a spoiler. Next we have Meb. I want to say it's pronounced Meb. Forgive me, correct me if I'm wrong. But Meb is very much a wild girl due to being a wolf walker and living in the forest with her mom and the wolf pack. She loves who she is, the life she lives, and is proud of being a walker while she looks upon humans, particularly the townies of Kilkenny. Meb is pretty cool. She has like bright orange hair. She's this wild, rambunctious little girl. um she definitely has like animal like behavior. But she's a nice burst and ball of energy. Next we have Maul, which is Meb's mom, and she's the alpha of the wolf pack. And I thought it was kind of dope that that the wolf pack leader is a female, is a woman. Then we have Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell, your typical standard bad guy. He reminds me a lot of Radcliffe from Pocahontas, like, and that kind of makes sense because I guess they're both from that side of the world or whatever. So there's that. Moving on to the visual style, this film is Cartoon Saloon's signature, you know? Um, to me, it's very reminiscent of like stained glass. And yeah, if you've just been inside those type of churches and seen those things, I think this film really echoes that style. Um, to me, it's also very beautiful, and I could understand how maybe at times it could be visually like overwhelming because there's just so much designs. There's so many like patterns and lines and shapes and stuff happening in the foreground and in the background that if this is your first kind of like experience seeing something that's so ornate, it can be overwhelming to you. For the most part, I do still like this style because it makes me feel like this is a piece of art, that if you were to pause some frames, it's probably going to be a very beautiful image that you are looking like at. Animated style, it is 2D animated. Um, I believe Cartoon Saloon actually does a chunk of the initial animation like pen and paper style, and then they digitize it. So with that being said, as you're watching the film, you can see some of the like pencil lines. You know, everything is colored in, but you see some of the gray sketchiness there. And I thought it was a nice touch, despite at first I was like, are my eyes playing a trick on me? Like, did I see something? Because I thought I saw some lines, but it happens throughout the whole film. And yeah, as far as storytelling, it's very charming to say the absolute least. It's an easy story to follow, and I appreciate Cartoon Saloon for always finding a good balance between telling you the story and showing you the story. Um, I really don't have much to say about the storytelling, unfortunately. My final thoughts is that Cartoon Saloon is one of my ultimate all time favorite animation studios. So I haven't encountered a film that I've disliked. I feel that each film just holds a different place in my heart. Um, I would say that I am biased too. Like I'm not waiting for the day they make a bad film, but I'm interested in if and when what that film could be like. That's like, I guess this is not really for me, you know? And one thing that I really like about Cartoon Saloon, about their movies so far, with the exception of the breadwinner does have a bit of magic to it. But for me, the breadwinner was almost like how you have those based on a true story type of films, except it's not based on a specific person's story, but more like a cultural based on a true story with the breadwinner. Whereas these, as they said, are like folk tales and folklore. So these are so like mystical, And I really appreciate how Cartoon Saloon with Secret of Kells, with Song of the Sea, and with this and with The Breadwinner, they don't dumb things down for children. Like, yes, this is a children's movie. It is a children's movie. I don't even know why I did the air quotes. It's a children's movie, but they're not treating kids as if they're like stupid. And so I really appreciate that. Oh, I'll also say that I guess of these movies, well, of the trilogy, Wolfwalkers is definitely kind of like the darkest. Like the color palette for Wolfwalkers is more muted than not. Maybe out of the three, this is my least favorite, with the Song of the Sea being my most favorite because if you just like things magic about like the sea and like ocean life, I think you would really like Song of the Sea. And Secret of Kells was interesting because it goes into like the history of like a book and kind of unpacks that journey for a kid. So I also enjoyed that. I don't know why, as even though I enjoyed Wolfwalkers, I wasn't you know what? I feel also Wolfwalkers, to me, with being on Apple TV, didn't really get a good enough push from me on Apple TV. Like, I was keeping up with it on social media and watching the trailers and stuff like that, and just whatever. Like I said, I care about the studio. I'm like a fan of the studio's work. But I don't dislike Wolfwalkers, but I wasn't super into it as I was with the other two movies. So I say that to say that I will watch it again, because now it's a trilogy. I would want to watch all three, like have a marathon or something, and watch all of them. And who knows, maybe a rewatch would make me feel stronger about it. But I think if you like magic and you like kind of like heartfelt stories, I also should say it's not like cheesy. It's definitely not something super cheesy. There's fight scenes and battles in this and all sorts of stuff like that. Oh, yes. So that's the thing. Secret of Kells and Song of the Sea have more like mythology in them than this one, despite this being like about still shape shifting individuals. So maybe that's why I'm still more enticed by those two. But to keep moving it forward, animation news. Animation news. So I haven't done this in a while, but I knew that this episode was going to be short. So I wanted to just give myself the opportunity to talk about some things that have been happening. Starting off with the fact that in February, it was announced that Blue Sky Studios was or is going to be closing. This was reported on February 9th by Deadline, and the last day would be early April. I found that this was so hard. Like the whole like energy, and even still like a month later, the whole energy of social media that day was just horrible. It was now understanding that like 400ish people were like out of work. A film that was due to come out or due to be finished this year and released next year had been stopped. They had short films that were being made had been stopped and stuff like that. And it was like, it's one thing to end a studio or to close a studio down or a studio to shut down, but that's usually like after they release something, right? Not as they're like nearing the finish line for a production. So that sucked. And then it just is really unfortunate to see. I'm in the animation industry. But this is a thing that happens in entertainment in general and just in life, where companies basically are allowed to monopolize the industry that they're a part of, and then squash the entities that they acquire. And what sucks about this is that this is not just numbers and money, right? I'm sure that's what they care about, but this is actual people's lives. These numbers are attached to actual people. And when I think about Blue Sky, you know, to me, they did have a rather high turnover rate of like millennials and like young people, entry level people, if you will, especially in production management. But it was a place where a lot of those people are people who had families, that had like houses and mortgages and their kids and schools and all sorts of stuff like that, compared to someone like me who was like, you know, didn't have any of that, was actually trying to find a place to rent. I didn't have to worry about a mortgage. And I'm like, okay, well, you're giving people like 6 weeks to kind of scramble and figure things out. But then it's also like some of these people have been there for 5, 10, 15, whatever years. And what are they supposed to do? Enough of those jobs are transferable, but the thing that makes it challenging is we know the animation industry is like all California is West Coast. Or in terms of the people who work in production management or finances and stuff like that, they may be able to find finance jobs, HR jobs, or whatever, but them trying to find an exact transfer, if you will, or to have the same title but in a different animation studio or whatever is going to be hard. And then I think about the PAs and stuff like that. Like, it's just, you just can't get around how challenging the job search can and will be for some people. I think if I were still at Blue Sky at with all this happening, like, I would be in big trouble because my time after leaving Blue Sky to being at my current employer, it took me like a year and change for that. And you know, the with the pandemic and working remotely, that allows enough people to be able to work in a variety of places to a certain extent, but more often than not, those companies expect you to move close to wherever their home base is within an X amount of time. So that's just that. But I think it's really awful that the studio closed. Blue Sky was the only feature film animation production studio on the East Coast. So now there's nothing. Now there's smaller, just only the boutique studios, small studios, the commercial studios, nothing that could employ 400, 500 people. That's gone now. And it just sucks because if we're going to talk about making and the animation industry more inclusive, right? And making it more accessible to people, you just like disenfranchised a whole region, a whole coast. People who do not want to migrate to California for whatever reasons had their eyes on Blue Sky. And now what? So that just sucks to me. It absolutely sucks to me. The next is there is this other streaming platform called like Paramount Plus or Paramount or whatever, and they showed a preview to Rugrats. Man, I don't ever want to see that again. I don't. I don't. I think the visual style of what they're doing to Rugrats, the treatment for it, would be fine if it just wasn't the Rugrats entity. That's just it. I think Rugrats should always be 2D flat animation. And to see it in this, you know what? If they were going to make Rugrats 3D, they should have tapped on Blue Sky because the way Blue Sky handled that Charlie Brown movie, if anything, should have been the way that Paramount and Nickelodeon handle Rugrats. What they're doing now is like this weird 3D thing. And it's cute if it wasn't Rugrats, but it's Rugrats, so I don't want it. I don't want it. Send it back. Send it all the way back. Speaking about sending things back, there's a Tom and Jerry movie. A live action mashup Tom and Jerry movie. And did I watch the trailer? I don't think I watched the trailer. So, anyways, so about this, I don't want it. From what I've seen, without actually sitting down and giving a trailer my attention, it seems like a regular movie with humans, and they threw Tom and Jerry in there for nostalgic reasons. Just no, just you know what? Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. But there's more things that Paramount seems to be doing and won't leave alone, and that is a fairly odd parents live action. So when I was looking up this article, I learned that there was already a live action Fairly Odd Parents back in 2011 with Drake from Drake and Josh. And I don't know if I knew that and like I just put it in the back of my mind, or maybe I didn't know. Like, I don't, but we don't need it. We don't need this. What we do need and what we are allegedly getting is Avatar Studios. Good job, Nickelodeon. And what that means is Nickelodeon is launching Avatar Studios, which is going to be a division designed to create original content spanning animated series and movies based on the franchise's world, right? The original creators and executive producers, not reading all those names, will run the studio as co chief creative officers. Avatar Studios will produce content for the platform, including Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon, as well as third party platforms and theatrical releases. The first project is an animated theatrical film that is set to start production later this year. So, we know there was that live action Avatar movie that was a flop, and everyone told me don't watch it. I still have forgotten to watch it, but I'm going to watch it. Then we got news last year that the creators of Avatar were going to make a new live action film with Netflix, and then they left the project because it sounded like it wasn't going to be the project that they had in mind. So now they're doing it, and sometimes that's just exactly it. You just got to do it yourself, you know? So good for them. I'm excited because this is exactly what like we're talking about. We want more Avatar stuff. And we don't need to continue one Avatar's long, long journey and story. Just keep going with different ones. We need Kyoshi. We need her. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think we need to go back to the first Avatar because what they said in Legend of Korra was, I think, enough. But I want to continue seeing some more Avatar stuff. So that's that. That is the episode. I told you it was gonna be short. Um, After this will be another interview with a young lady I went to college with. That she's very dope. She's very interesting to me, and I'm so excited for you to hear that conversation. If there's any animated movies or TV shows you'd like for me to check out, let me know because I do have a list of things I need to watch. I know that, but I'm also just interested in you know oh, you guys may come across stuff that may fall through the cracks for me. So I'm interested in that. Thank you, as always, for sharing this, for liking and engaging on social media. Thank you to my Patreon subscribers. I hope you guys are enjoying the content that I'm doing and posting on there. If you are not subscribed or not a Patreon, you can I have a couple posts that are not locked, so you can I don't know, check those out. So yeah, again, all social media at Simprobotics, website simprobotics.com. And thank you guys. Take care. Bye.